Lebanon Ignites in Turmoil, Hezbollah and Israeli Connection explained. Over 20 dead, 450 injured in blasts. Lebanon is once again in the global spotlight after a devastating second wave of explosions rocked the country, leaving 20 dead and over 450 injured. These blasts linked to wireless communication devices used by Hezbollah have escalated tensions in a region already on the brink of conflict. As the situation unfolds, we dive into what triggered these deadly explosions, the role of Israel and this clandestine operation, and what it means for the future of Lebanon and the Middle East. Background of the explosions. Let's begin by setting the scene. On the 18th of September 2024, a series of blasts occurred in several Hezbollah strongholds. These regions include the southern suburbs of Beirut, the Bekaa Valley, and the southern Lebanon. The first round of explosions, just a day earlier, had already claimed 12 lives when Hezbollah members' pagers detonated. This second wave of blast only compounded the tragedy. It's worth noting that these explosions occurred at an highly emotional moment during the funerals of some of those who were killed in the first wave. Imagine the heightened tension, grief, and suddenly more devastation as explosions rocked the very ground of these funerals. Hezbollah and the Israeli connection. The explosions seem to point to an ongoing conflict between Hezbollah and Israel. Although Israel hasn't officially commented on the incident, Hezbollah has accused them of orchestrating these attacks. The timing of the explosions come right as Israel's defense minister announced a new phase of war. What we know is that Israeli forces are now shifting their focus from Gaza to the north, where Hezbollah holds sway. But what exactly happened here? According to several reports, Israel's intelligence service may have infiltrated Hezbollah's communication network. It's believed that Israeli operatives booby-trapped thousands of walkie-talkies and pagers that were handed over to Hezbollah members months ago. These devices were meant for emergency communication in case of military operation, but instead they have become lethal tools in what seems to be a coveted Israeli operation. The explosive aftermath. Let's talk about the human toll. The Lebanese health minister has confirmed that the second wave of blast left at least 20 people dead and over 450 wounded. A chilling aspect of these attacks is the type of injuries sustained. Doctors in Beirut are reporting that a significant percentage of the wounded have lost limbs or eyes due to the blast. One physician, Dr. Ilyas Warak, described it as the worst day of his career. Now, these aren't just random explosions. They are precise, targeted strikes at Hezbollah's communication system as essential part of their military infrastructure. The walkie-talkies and the pagers that were supposed to link Hezbollah fighters during a potential conflict have instead become a deadly liability. Wider regional implications. So where does this leave Lebanon and the region at large? The situation in Lebanon is already precarious. The country has grappled with political instability, economic collapse, and ongoing cross-border tensions. Adding this new layer of conflict only exacerbates the risk of all-out war. United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres has called for restraint, warning that the region could spiral into an even more catastrophic conflict and he is not alone. As Israel relocates its military resources to the north, where Hezbollah operates, there is a growing sense that this conflict could escalate far beyond its current scope. Hezbollah's response and future moves. Hezbollah is out of course not remaining silent. It has been retaliating, firing rockets at Israeli forces stationed near the border and in the Israeli-occupied Golan Heights. Videos circulating on social media show the chaos and confusion, particularly during the funerals that were disrupted by the explosions. What's especially significant is that Hezbollah's leader, Hassan Nasrallah, is expected to deliver a major speech. This speech could offer crucial insights into Hezbollah's next move. Nasrallah has been a critical figure in shaping the group's military and the political strategies, and his words may well indicate whether Hezbollah will push for a broader conflict or attempt to scale back and regrow. Israeli strategy and aims. From Israel's perspective, the aim of these clandestine attacks seem to be clear: to dismantle Hezbollah's communication infrastructure and create fear and confusion within its ranks. According to sources, Israel hopes that by targeting Hezbollah's wartime communication system, they can pressure the group into distancing itself from the Hamas and agreeing to some form of truce with Israel. This strategy also aligns with Israel's broader military objectives. As Defense Minister said, Israel is now focusing more resources on the northern front. The implication is that Israel is preparing for a more significant confrontation with Hezbollah even as fighting continues in Gaza. Humanitarian concerns. Beyond the military and the strategic implications, there are serious humanitarian concerns. Lebanon is facing a mounting crisis with casualties from these blasts. Overwhelming hospitals. Doctors like Warak are dealing with unprecedented levels of trauma, trying to save lives amid the chaos. The destruction of communication systems also make it harder for emergency services to respond quickly to further incidents. In a country already grappling with limited resources, this additional strain pushes Lebanon's healthcare system to the brink. The road ahead. As we wrap up, it's important to consider the broader implications. Lebanon is teetering on the edge of further conflict, and the explosive destruction of Hezbollah's communication devices is a sign that the conflict with Israel is entering a more covert and technological sophisticated phase. As we all know about the Lebanon and Hezbollah attack and the explosions that are going on there. So, what impact it can have on India? Like these things can be used in India too?
See, Israel has been a home of technological innovations to use in the battlefields. We have seen 15 years ago how Israel used a malware called Stuxnet to dismantle the entire nuclear program. We saw how Israel used automated robotic weapons by firing bullets to assassinate Iranian generals and scientists. By planting a AI-enabled machine a gun in a car in Tehran and while controlling it thousands of kilometers away from in Israel. Now we have seen this new innovation where they have been successfully able to intercept the entire supply chain mechanism of pagers, walkie-talkies, and solar power systems, and then plant explosive in them and then remotely detonate them all together to create a devastating impact. So Israel has been known for these innovations, and it takes years and years and sometimes decades of research to develop such a system. For example, Stuxnet took 12 years to build such a malware. This would have taken many years to get the precise intelligence about the way Hezbollah was operating pagers, the company which was supplied them, infiltrate those companies, craft a small 20 milligram explosive which could fit into those pagers. Then have a mechanism within the pager where you could remotely send a signal to trigger a blast and all together. And same with the talking. So I think there are many important lessons for India. All this was only possible because there was a supply to come from a foreign country. So we must now look to reduce India's reliance on supply chains on a foreign country, especially in hostile countries like China. Today we import 60 to 70% of our everyday gadgetry mobile phones routers from China. And tomorrow, if Chinese state was to turn against India and do something like this on a public scale, you can just imagine the impact it will have on India during the conflict.
So, how can we ourselves from this?
I think first of all we must stop buying stuff from the foreign countries. A second, don't trust a communication device that it will work only for communication. Any electronic device can be repurposed for anything. For example, here explosive were written in garb of circuit gadgetry. So tomorrow, if somebody wanted to plant a 20 kilogram explosive, if they could do it in a pager, they could easily plant a 40 milligram explosive in a mobile phone or a router or laptop or tablet. So that's a worrisome trend now, and I think the solution has to be found technologically by the government, not by the society, because society does not buy mobile phones now for putting in bombs. They use it for calling and SMS.
The next few days will determine whether this violence will spiral into a larger regional conflict or diplomatic efforts will prevail. For now, the eyes of the world remain on Lebanon as tensions mount and the possibility of escalation looms larger with each passing day. This is all for now. Stay tuned to Jagran English for more such international news and updates.